Alright, so let's talk batteries. So when I first bought our rig, it had two 12-volt batteries for coach batteries and a 12-volt battery for the chassis battery. And you know, we've had a number of RVs in the past, and always wanted to upgrade to 6-volt, wet cell 6-volt. So specifically the Trojan brand, those are always pretty good. So I took out the old 12-volt house batteries and installed two 6-volt, and then also put in a watering system that makes it super easy to maintain those. And you know, that was a good set of batteries, and I've only had them in there for maybe 6 or 8 months, something like that, 9 months tops. And you know, knowing that I eventually wanted to upgrade to lithium batteries, and you know, haven't really quite pulled the trigger. And you know, the whole solar system that I have on the rig, I installed all that myself, designed it and installed it. So I have 100 watt panels, Blue Sky Energy 3000i charge controller, and it's worked well. We primarily boondock. That system has worked well for us. I wouldn't say energy misers, but we're pretty aware of the energy that we use. So we've always been, you know, able to boondock no problem, and really not ever had any energy concerns. So here at the Quartzsite RV show, Battle Born Batteries, they have a stall, so stop by. And you know, some familiar faces there, Sean, the COO, and Diane, and the folks there that I had corresponded with via email a few months ago to kind of inquire about their batteries. Anyway, met Sean, we hit it off right off the bat. Super great guy, couldn't say enough about him, and super knowledgeable, obviously. And you know, he was instrumental in me going ahead and picking up two 12-volt lithium batteries here at the show. So you know, brought them back home last night. A little bit of a challenging install, only because they're a little bit larger than the 12 volts, certainly larger than the 6 volts I pulled out. The 6 volts came out easy, but a little bit of a challenge to get these a little bit larger 12 volt batteries into my bay. I have, and I'll show you here in a minute, I've got you know, space for two house batteries in the step well of our rig. So you know, I had to kind of take everything apart and slide the batteries in and get everything disconnected and reconnected last night. And had 13.5 volts immediately, just like that. And last night was a little chilly. We had the furnace on, all kinds of different things running, and you know, never dropped below 13.2 volts all night, which is awesome. Much better than the wet cell batteries. Typically I would drop down to, after a full day of sun, drop down to about 12.5, 12.6. Still a great state of charge, but you know, really looking forward to how these lithium batteries perform. And I think you know, the minor changes I had to make in the controller setup is really gonna make a big difference in how the batteries perform. And yeah, it's gonna be really cool. What I'll do is give you a quick preview now. I'm not going to go through the whole install process, but kind of want to show you our situation. Not every situation is going to be the same, so you know, we'll take a look at it and show you how I got stuff in there, and the routing of cables and such. Here's the battery box that is in the stairwell of our rig. A little dusty and dirty. Obviously there's no environmentally sealed area here, so you know, dirt and everything else can get in. You know, just one of those things. But here are the two batteries. A little bit of a spaghetti bowl here with wiring and such. I've got you know, the solar connection coming in, and you know, I think overall they fit in there okay. I still need to fashion a tie down system to hold these in place, and then also reinstall the tie down for the chassis battery. Yeah, overall not a bad install. And like I said, performance so far I've seen just in the last few hours are great. Got up this morning, the batteries are at about 13.2. Here it is 1 o'clock, and the batteries are fully charged. Okay, finally finished up with the Battle Born Lithium battery upgrade. I think it turned out pretty well. We'll take a look at it and see what you think. All right, here's the battery compartment. It's in the stairwell of our particular rig. Again, the two Battle Born Lithium Batteries. As I'd mentioned before, when I just initially installed these, it was pretty messy in here, dirty. You remember the sort of rat's nest of wiring that I had in here, so I just decided to pull everything out, address a little bit of corrosion in the bottom of the pan, put some rust preventative coating on that, repainted the entire box, and rerouted some of the wiring, and fashioned some tie downs. I fashioned this tie down rather out of a piece of just strap aluminum that I had some scrap stuff laying around the garage. So I fashioned this and I coated it with several coats of a Plastidip, so that it hopefully won't chafe into the top of these battery boxes or battery containers here and cause damage. So for my start battery, which is a 12-volt wet cell, I did go ahead and install a battery filling system, which makes it super simple. Just hook up a pump to this fitting right here and get a few pumps of water, and it fills the batteries up and keeps them nice and topped off. Another thing you'll probably notice is some of this material that's over all the terminals. Now, initially, all of these terminals were bare, and I don't really like to have bare battery terminals, and I couldn't find anything online that would really fit these because of their odd shapes. So I found this product. It's called Plastido. It's this stuff right here, and it's just moldable plastic. So it's a white bead, as you can see here in the picture, and it's got little colorant granules, and you just get some boiling water, put as much of that clear plastic material and some of the colorant in there, and make little pieces of moldable plastic, and then I just kind of shaped and formed them over all of the connections, and gives me protection should I drop something in here, a wrench or something if I'm working or something like that. Anyway, it turned out really well. Again, did a lot of wire rerouting and cleaned this up really nicely. You'll notice here that I've got a shunt. So while I was in here doing all this work, I decided to install the Victron BMV-712, which is the Bluetooth variant of this. This was a pretty easy install. I already had all the cabling, battery connections and things like that, so it wasn't difficult at all. The only thing that took a little bit of time was routing this communication cable, which ran all the way through the coach from the front to the back control center, which I'll show you here in a minute. Anyway, fairly easy, and I really like that. So yeah, everything turned out really well. I think much improved over the first time I showed you a picture of the battery box. Anyway, let's go take a look at the Victron control panel and see how the batteries are doing. All right, so here we are at the control center of our particular rig, and this houses everything. One of the thermostats for one of the AC units, and the electrical management system, and of course all the typical panels and things that you might see. Also has our solar controller in here. This is the Solar Boost 3000i by Blue Sky Energy. I've had one of these in every rig I've had solar in. Love this. It's a max point power tracking controller, so super good. It's not the highest in amperage. I think it's a high of 30 amps maximum, but I've only got 400 watts of solar, which serves us fine. We've never had an issue with just the 400 watts. Anyway, coming back up to the controller, and here we are at 99.9% charged. And yesterday I turned on every single item in the coach on DC power, lights, fans, a furnace blower motor, everything that I could turn on, the radio, both televisions, and I got this down to 82.5%, and just kind of cycling the batteries a little bit. Plugged it in last night. We have a 30 amp service in my garage, so I plugged it into the 30 amp circuit and charged it up overnight pretty well. And the solar, it's just about charged, so it's not pumping a lot of amps in right now, only 1.8 amps, only because the batteries are almost fully charged, just a couple, maybe a half a volt off and fully charged. Anyway, yeah, so I really like this setup and look forward to how it serves us in the future. Well, that about wraps it up for this Battle Born Lithium battery install. You know, overall, fairly easy. A couple of issues, no big deal. You know, again, once I get into things and I see there are other issues, I usually just don't let them fly. I usually tackle those issues. Generally speaking, if you don't, they usually become bigger problems. That's why I decided just to pull everything out of the battery compartment and basically refurbish it. Glad I did. It'll serve us for many, many years to come. Anyway, if you like our videos, like, share, subscribe. You know where the button is. I think down there somewhere. Yeah, I think that's where it is. And stick around for some news coming up. Next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be making a fairly big announcement that I think is going to be exciting for a lot of people. Certainly is exciting for us. We're super excited to get going on this new adventure and endeavor. Anyway, again, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button. See you soon.